How's it going, everybody? In this video, I want to talk about Bitcoin and alts. And here behind me, I have the Bitcoin dominance chart. You can see a very similar pattern to last cycle. You'll see that last cycle, we basically rode Bitcoin dominance up, meaning Bitcoin's dominance versus altcoins was increasing. It reached a certain point where this became a resistance, and it started downtrending. This is basically known as alt season. You'll notice Bitcoin dominance topped out basically in January of 2021. That is when Bitcoin dominance topped out. Bitcoin's price that cycle topped out in late 2021, and its dominance was basically at the bottom. So Bitcoin's dominance coming down doesn't necessarily mean that the Bitcoin bull market is over. Rather, it means that alt season bull market is beginning. And looking at this cycle, we rode a similar pattern. If we can start finding this as resistance and we start coming down, this is a huge sign that alt season is literally here. And based on what we did last cycle, this should be coming in January or February. We'll get back into some more alt season stuff, but let's look at how Bitcoin performed in Q4. Q4 is coming to its end. Of course, December looks like we're pulling back. Seems to be kind of an iffy December. But in reality, Q4 has been fantastic. And Bitcoin's performance in Q4 is over 50%, almost equaling its 2023 performance. And while there are worries of short-term pullbacks, Bitcoin chart-wise looks like it may fail its 50 MA. There are still more gains to come. And here's a Wyckoff analysis here, saying that we are basically at this point. We had the start of this accumulation phase, very similar to this pattern. The fast price move, the trend continuation. We've been consolidating as of recently, and all we need is that good breakout. Following the Wyckoff method, we are not yet at the distribution phase. Now here's one thing, for alt season to actually happen, Bitcoin does need to overall trend up. Bitcoin needs to be in a bull market. Otherwise, alt season isn't going to happen. Remember, while Bitcoin dominance started dropping off a cliff in early 2021, it topped out in late 2021. The altcoins need Bitcoin's good performance. If you think Bitcoin is done, then there isn't going to be an alt season. But if you think Bitcoin will continue higher over next year, then buckle up for alt season, because I think it's coming. Altcoins have historically followed periods of Bitcoin consolidation as investors look for higher returns in alternative cryptocurrencies. People make some money off of Bitcoin. They're looking at where they can diversify those funds into. What other cryptos can they get into that'll give some good gains? With Bitcoin dominance weakening and altcoins showing strength, the coming weeks could provide exciting opportunities for traders and investors seeking to diversify their portfolios. While Bitcoin continues to work to break those six figures again, the focus may shift temporarily towards altcoins posed for explosive growth. But basically, this altcoin season shift is becoming more apparent as recent price fluctuations suggest that altcoins are gearing up for a surge. After Bitcoin's dominance and bullish sentiment in the market, altcoins are now showing signs of strength, with many posting impressive gains. And here's a chart again of Bitcoin dominance. You can see that, it follows this trend until it doesn't, until it starts pulling back. You could argue that this was the tipping point or that this was the tipping point, but either way, you can see that Bitcoin dominance started trending down as we got into the year after the halving, which in this case is 2025. We are starting to see similar. This may be the top for Bitcoin's dominance, or we might have an attempt to go higher that fails and alt season ensues. But this says once Bitcoin drops below a critical 55% level, a massive alt season is likely to follow. This could lead to explosive price movements in altcoins, yada, yada, yada. I'll leave this down below for you because there is a lot to this article, but you can see that the last major altcoin cycle basically occurred in January 2021, like I said. The beginning of the post-halving year, which was 2021 in that case. In our case, it's 2025. It basically started in January 2021, peaked in November 2021. The previous cycle began in February 2017, peaked in January 2018. So I believe altcoin season is going to start early in 2025, whether it's January, whether it's February, whether it's March. We're going to see an altcoin season. We're going to see Bitcoin dominance come down while Bitcoin rises in price, but the alts will be outperforming it. Therefore, dominance will go down while Bitcoin still rises in price, with Bitcoin topping out in late 2025 at some point and bottoming out for dominance at that point as well. But Bitcoin's approaching an important zone. We could definitely have another pullback, which would hurt the alts as well before alt season starts. Maybe Bitcoin breaks that 92,000 important support and we head towards our ascending megaphone pattern, our ascending pattern here down in the high 80s. It does look like we're starting to fail the 50 MA. We did get a candle to close under it. The last time we did that, we did see a brief pullback that basically took like $5,000 to $7,000 off of Bitcoin, depending on where you place it. But this was short-lived. It was a buying opportunity when you look at the fact that it's in an overall bull market. If you follow the cycle, pullbacks on Bitcoin are still buying opportunities. In last cycle, we saw these brief pullbacks under the 50 MA before we went parabolic as well. Here in September into October of 2020, we did see a pullback under the 50 MA. It found it as resistance before breaking over it and basically never looking back. Never looking back ever. This was $11,000 and we never saw that price again. And I'm not necessarily saying that, you know, if we pull back under the 50 MA, come to 85,000, we're never going to see that price ever again. But there's a possibility. There's a possibility that our next crypto winter low in late 2026, early 2027, you know, Bitcoin's bear market low at that time could be 100,000. It could be 75,000. We might never see the 50,000s again. We might never see the 30,000s again. We might never see the 80,000s again. It's certainly a possibility, but I wouldn't necessarily bet on it. I would bet that we're never going to see 50,000 again though. But Bitcoin is going to have to hold this 92,000 up, or we're going to see some more pain, alts along with it. But take these as opportunities to buy the alts, to buy Bitcoin. Buy it while it pulls back. If we do get a good dip, this could be the last good dip buy this cycle. You don't want to be chasing Bitcoin and the alts in late 2025. It becomes that much more risky. Alright guys, now I did want to pull up Solana. This one has been pulling back pretty good. I think this is a great buy. This is down 27% from its recent high. I'd say this is a very nice pullback. And drawing the fib on the last time it started this run, you'll see that it did come down and literally bounced off the 618, and now we're hovering around the 0.5 area. And also Solana touched oversold on the RSI. In hindsight, you'll see that during this bull run, every time Solana has reached this level on the RSI, it has been a good chance to scoop some up and either do a quick swing trade, or in some cases do a multi-month trade. There's a possibility that Solana uses this recent descending resistance as a support. You can see that clear bounce off of it. This is going to be an important level if we retest it. If we come down and test the 200 MA, it'll probably be around the same time we test this support, right around 175 or so. If this breaks, we're going to see more pain from Solana. If this holds, we're probably going to recover. Either way, I think this is a great time to accumulate before alt season begins, before the hype begins. But how are you guys feeling about the prospects of an alt season? Are we going to see it this cycle or not for some reason? What are your favorite alts? Have you guys been accumulating them throughout this cycle, or are you waiting till a good indication? Are you waiting till Bitcoin dominance just drops off? Thanks as always for watching, guys. Hopefully you had a good weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow.